Welcome to another episode of Casted to the King. I'm Joshua Mickle, and with me today is my compadre and co-worker and friend, Marcus Rowe. Marcus, please introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Marcus Rowe. Often imitated, never duplicated. Here live in Oakland, Tennessee, which is about 3 hours away from Memphis.
Exaggerations. Isn't it kind of ironic, actually, that you're a Raiders fan?
Yeah.
And this place is called Oakland, so I don't know if that's PTSD for you right now. So
we're gonna find out here in a little bit. We're gonna find out.
So we got Super Bowl coming up this weekend. We had the other day, the NBA trade deadline fiasco madness that went on. And we also got some entertainment news coming up, and then we'll just close it out with some lighthearted stuff that happened over church. And our first topic today we're going to be talking about is recently Walt Disney Studios had their investment call about what's coming up in their quarterly earnings, and amidst of them announcing that they're going to be axing 7,000 jobs. They have actually, amidst of them saying they're not going to employ 7,000 people anymore to save $5-ish billion. In the middle of all that, sequels to Frozen 3, Zootopia 2, and now Toy Story 5 are in active development. So I'll kick it off to you, Marcus. So, good idea, bad idea? Like, what's your reaction like to these sequels that are being greenlit, or is it about time, you think?
Well, first I wasn't laughing. Like 7,000 people are losing their job. It's just it's odd. You have this earnings call and you're making all this money. And then like, oh, by the way, 7,000 people are no longer going to be employed. Just the irony of the situation, but they have to do these sequels, and the reason why is because the state of Florida is about to take over the Reedy Creek Development Corporation, and they got like $1 billion in debt right now. So
their Disney Plus service lost billions of dollars for them last year.
Hey, well, they better put their eggs in some of these carts. So far, Toy Story, like every one of them that's come out, has been pretty highly rated. But that $1 billion got to get paid off somehow. And with all those people, getting their Disney World tickets from the scalpers over there at Big Bob's Backyard Bass Pro Shop, back around the way from Universal Studios, like they gotta have to.
Yeah. So when I first found out about this, and I still remember it was years ago. I think it was 2015 or 2016 that when Toy Story 4 was announced. I remember. It was Bren Van Blaricon, Parker's wife at the time, and a few others that immediately posted on my Facebook wall saying, "Is this real? Is this real?" So right there, I could tell, like in a flash of a pan, how beloved Toy Story is throughout generation. It's beloved with almost everybody these days.
Bro, like just like it's groundbreaking from
it's Pixar's first movie,
animated movie. And you're like, there's no way they can keep this going. They're doing a pretty good job.
Outside of Lightyear that came out last year, that was a little bit of a speed bump in the road. Like the first half of the movie, I would say, is really good, like really legit good. Yeah. And then there's a point where Buzz Lightyear, that character goes through like a little phase, there's a point in the middle of the movie. And it's been out for a year, so I can just say there's a time jump that happens essentially with like slight speed and whatnot. So once he fast forwards like years and years and years later, that's when the movie goes on a downturn. So because they said with Toy Story 3 that was Andy's ending. Like that was the ending to Andy's story.
Oh yeah,
and so
the girl got the
it was like the passing the torch. And so when they announced Toy Story 4, they actually came out and said like 3 was the ending to Andy's story, 4 is the ending to Woody's story. So now when I hear 5, I'm like, are we gonna get a Buzz ending story?
Nah, bro, they need to.
Or what is this gonna be? I don't know what's gonna be about.
Woody is my guy. Like come on, like you can't let Woody go. Like Woody's iconic. Like I remember Toy Story when it came out. What was that? 95?
Yeah, late 90s. Yeah, mid 90s.
Woody is like the penultimate character, you know, but Buzz went through a phase. A little failure to launch, some adolescence or something, where just things just weren't.
I mean, nowadays, like if I'm surely convinced that if that movie Lightyear was such a great success, they would have immediately announced like a Western stylized movie for Woody.
Yeah.
Not Red Dead Redemption style, but in that vein of take like some of the famous tropes cowboy style, but apply it to Woody and his cast and crew. So I was convinced that was going to happen next before we even got a Toy Story 5. So the fact we're getting 5 first. Frozen 2, Zootopia, and Toy Story 4 each made over $1 billion, almost close to $1.5 billion. So it's a no-brainer financially.
You see all the Elsa
Disneyland, Disney World, everywhere.
Like you go and like Halloween. Oh, what do you want to be for Halloween? I want to be Elsa. Like bro, you can't be Elsa.
My mother has a whole stash of Olaf stuff for Christmas. She used to have her own. I don't know if she does yet. I know she still has or not. But there's a moment in time where every Christmas it was like Olaf stuff, and she has her own Olaf Christmas tree.
So Olaf,
Elsa,
Let It Go. Never it's in the collective like
the zeitgeist
of colloquialisms and sayings that people say all the time and just wear them out. You know, just let it go. Like, you know what?
There's actually that line in Zootopia. Actually,
let something go. See, like it all just comes full circle. It's like they have to. You know, if not for the money, for the nostalgia. Like,
I think for Zootopia, they actually released on Disney Plus a while ago, like Zootopia Plus of like little mini shorts, but it was like tropes on famous movies. Like there's that character with that was like Godfather. It was like the Godfather.
Oh yeah.
So they actually have an episode like called like the Godfather. So they had those little tropes going on. So
I give it to Disney. Like they get real crafty in the animated movies.
Yeah.
You know, but then like you have like these references that like there's like this generation gap where like we know what the Godfather is, but then you get like, you know.
Yeah, you're not necessarily showing your you're not necessarily showing your elementary school or middle school kids hey, what's this? Like, what's this, Daddy? It's like I'll tell you when you're older.
Yeah, you're not putting Cosa Nostra in the kids movie, but it's just like all the old people are gonna laugh at it, but then like the kids they're gonna be like, what was that so funny, But then you'll get like Deadpool. When they released Deadpool, they were like, yeah, this is not a kid's movie.
Yeah, clearly.
And then people were taking the kids to go see Deadpool. And
because it was because they associate Marvel with like family friendly, but almost like that Pixar vein. It's like it's family friendly, but it's not a family movie.
It's like like nothing about like you got. First off, the dude's name is Deadpool. Like, there's nothing kiddie about that.
Just a simple Google search and like Deadpool images.
Yeah, and then
you'll see him like decapitated, blood smearing everywhere.
And parents are like aghast at the violence, and I'm like, what did you think this was? Like, they even said this wasn't a kids movie. What people, man, like.
For the 3 movies that were announced, for Toy Story 5, I kind of just I mentioned to you here that could be like the swan song sending off for Tim Allen's Buzz Lightyear, maybe, possibly. Zootopia 2, you can almost make that sequel about anything. It's like I mean, for all we know, we get into the Fox more into his backstory and whatnot with his cast of characters. Frozen 3. What's this movie going to be about? First movie is a little bit about Anna, about trying to find her sister that just got these powers. The second one kind of like led off with that more. For her discovering her powers even more, that there's a connection with her mother. Maybe she had these powers or not. Number 3, is it where she finds her love interest now for Elsa? I honestly don't know what they could possibly do, but I guarantee you that everybody's gonna be flocking to the theaters.
After a while, you just
Marvel style, they're gonna be flocking to the theaters when it comes out.
You just kind of paint yourself into a corner. I mean,
they're all at the end of Frozen 2, Elsa and Anna becomes the queen of that town. I forget the name of it. And then Elsa is off in the woods, like with the people that her mother was originated from.
Like Snow White and 7 Dwarves. We're going to find her out there in the woods. Like, I mean, you just kind of paint yourself in a corner. I mean, I don't know where else you could go. Like, because wasn't there a point where like everything, which one of them was it? It was like everything she touched or whatever. Like
ice, yeah,
turn to ice. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, if you're in this movie and then like, Elsa has the hots for some guy, like he's clearly going to be terrified. Like,
I'm curious if they expand on the lore. It's not just her with powers, that maybe you have like other elementals in it, like fire based or something for like an antagonist. So I mean, again, like if you have a writer's room of either concluding the story or you want to expand on the story for more movies, there's multiple ways you can go.
It's going to be like Encanto, where like everyone could like,
or more so the beginnings of Avatar, the Last Airbender, where you have. Yeah. You have the ice snowy powers, and then you have the inferno fiery powers, and then
you got the air. Yeah. And I liked Avatar, especially the cartoon.
Yeah,
with the flying.
That's the bison.
The flying bison.
That still holds a place in my heart. Yeah,
like, I remember back in the Aang. That was the guy. Was it Aang and
Sokka?
Sokka,
the comic relief. Yes.
Zuko, was that one?
Zuko, yeah. The Fire Nation Prince.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays he's looked as like an emo kid, essentially, like with attitude issues. But you watch you understand. For those of you who understand the story, like he has more character and depth to him as you go along. Yeah. So those are the big 3 announcements from Disney, and we will see when they release, and it probably won't be for another 2-3 years. But given the multitude of these films, they're not all going to release in 1 year, so it's probably going to be like a year or a year and a half gap between the two.
Hey, as long as they don't...
Zootopia came out in 2017 or 2018.
Bro, as long as they don't accidentally delete the movie from the computer, I think...
That's never going to happen, man.
Like Toy Story 2, dude was he hit like a command line and like... I think he deleted something like 90% of the video or of the movie. I mean, they had backups. I mean, obviously, you're going to have backups, but still.
Did you know that movie was supposed to go straight to home video, Toy Story 2?
Hey, well.
And then they looked at it and they said, you know what, this is really good. Let's put this out in theaters. Yeah. So they're going to go Aladdin, Return of Jafar, this movie originally.
Maybe it was deleted so that it couldn't go straight to home video. No, conspiracy theory.
Yeah, tinfoil hat.
Believe what you want. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like that's a stroke of, luck, genius. Like, let me just delete this, see what happens if we can just avoid this. Because like, and you're going straight to DVD or straight to whatever.
It was straight to DVD at the time, VHS and DVD at the time.
It's like I'm not gonna say like you're mailing it in. Like, it's okay. It's not movie theater worthy, but like, you go straight to DVD, you're just like, I'm not gonna watch this. Like, it didn't even go to the theater first, but I mean
nowadays that's all changed with streaming, the shorter movie theater release window. It used to be 90 days in theaters, and then it was available on digital media. Now it's 45.
People even go to the
now for
movies
most of them
anymore?
are 45 days.
I'm just kidding. That was a bad
They need to. They need to. But for those that don't and are still like cooped up, I mean, I'm not going to say all of them are not going to theaters because strictly on COVID reasons. Pricing of tickets is another big reason why they're not returning to the theaters. And if the theater window is shorter, and you're willing to wait a month and a half, you can just, and if you have that subscription base, you can just tune in for free.
You're good. You're good. Well,
like if you got the patience to wait, then
I mean, I go.
Why go to the theater when you know it's going to be right there for you?
You get everything all in one spot. You get the movie, you get food. They bring it to your. You get this nice chair. Initially,
when they started doing that, we did for the first few movies. I know Godzilla versus Kong was one. I want to say no. I saw Black Widow in theaters actually. There's a whole bunch of others that went straight to streaming as well.
Yeah,
some were quasi theater releases as well with that. At least from my experience, is that I cannot watch a movie straight without it pausing, the dog getting in my way, or someone has to go to the bathroom.
Hold on.
Exactly. Like you're in a movie theater, you're focused on that movie, and it just keep on going, and that's all you're focused on the screen.
Yeah.
You're not focused on everything else in the house.
Alexa, pause. That's
just my experience. I'm
my
sure
house.
Others have their own home theaters, or they just tune everything out.
Bro, that's
just
my
watch
house. That's my Alexa, pause. Alexa, rewind 2 minutes. I'm like, it's like you pause it. You can't pause it to go to the bathroom in the movie theater. You're missing out on. You better hold it. Missing out on key details.
Especially if you're watching those Avatar movies. Now.
Oh yeah,
they're 3 hours long now.
Yeah,
standard.
Avatar, Marvel, anything that really has, connections to other movies throughout that feature, bro. You can't go to the bathroom.
No.
You better use that empty popcorn bucket. Use that.
Oh boy,
that super gulp that she got for $15 down at the concession stand. You gotta take a mortgage out to get food at the movie theater.
Yeah. All right, so with that aside, we're gonna move on to our second topic. We're gonna be talking sports, and the other day with the NBA trade deadline was a fiasco show. A bleep show for some people because it was madness and it started in a way with Kyrie Irving being traded to the Mavericks.
What we enjoy to see,
so
the carnage from the NBA trade deadline.
So what were the standouts to you for the trade deadline?
Well, I just want to make sure everyone is aware that LeBron James did in fact become the NBA all-time leading scorer. Because after when all this trade stuff happened, I just
nobody cared. Yeah,
just completely forgot.
Nobody cared.
Oh man,
they hyped it up like it's like the NBA's version of the home run title. He hit the most home runs.
But I'll tell you what, it's something to be said about a man that can play in the league for 20 plus years and score, over 38,000 points. I mean, by the time he's done, he's probably going to be over 40,000. At some point, that record, it's going to be what it is.
Yeah.
Until you get a kid that comes in the NBA in 10th grade.
I thought I heard somewhere they're doing away with the one and done rule. I thought I read that somewhere that they're gonna go back to the old ways.
I've heard some rumblings. I mean, you guys can thank Kevin Garnett for that, but but for every Kevin Garnett, you got the guys that make the jump and they just, for whatever reason they don't make it. So it's it's not the NBA's fault.
Yeah.
But if you declare for the draft, you can't pick your situation, at least initially. So
So what stood out for you then for the trade deadline? Who do you think What do you think was the biggest splash or lack thereof? There's a whole big splash, like Splash Mountain style. Like you're going down the mountain, and then everybody's getting wet. That's what the trade deadline was.
And then your car jumps off the track, and you
drive off a cliff.
You're in the briar patch. Like,
is it the obvious one with Kevin Durant?
No. John Wall getting traded back to the Houston Rockets.
That was the ultimate troll job. I would hate to be John Wall's agent right now. I would hate to be his agent.
Listen. John Wall did that podcast with his buddies, and he was talking about how bad his experience in Houston was. And you get traded.
Hey, you want some more? Come back.
Like,
no, come back here. Come back here.
Like, we're not done with you yet. We're gonna put you on the bench some more. And then Russell Westbrook, gets traded.
I didn't think that was going to happen. Like with that much money, I thought they had to unload both of their draft picks.
Utah's
got like over 12 draft picks, and that's 5 years. First round picks.
I'm watching the clock on Russell Westbrook's exit from Utah. Like, can you think
it's bound to happen? They're not going to start him.
Of another person, like when he was in Oklahoma City, like, I mean, everything was going great.
Yeah.
But then everything changed when he got traded to Houston. Because he went from Houston to
Washington
to
for
DC,
1 year.
and then DC to
LA,
and then from LA to Utah. Like, bro, that's what? Like,
5 times you've been traded in the last 5.5 years.
In 5 years, like, at some point, you gotta look at your situation. Like, I don't know Russell Westbrook, but just by all accounts, watching him play basketball, like, his game is the exact same as from when he was in Oklahoma City. Like,
he hasn't evolved.
You head down straight to the hole, and then you want to shoot, but you can't shoot. Like, he's like Dylan Brooks, like,
don't get me started, man. Don't get me started. I'll blow a gasket right now.
I hope Utah's ready for him to shoot them out of some games. Like,
if they're gonna, if the plans for them to tank, which this year they've actually been winning, it's almost like the first year of OKC when they got rid of Paul George and they had Chris Paul in there. They actually made the playoffs. So unless they're going to pull that route, there's no way they're playing Russell Westbrook. No. They're going to buy him out.
John Wall's back to the Rockets, bro. Like, it's hilarious. But like, even the whole thing with like Brooklyn, the Nets have been cut down. Like, let's just go ahead and agree on that.
They got some good pieces with Dinwiddie and Mikal Bridges. Like,
they have
to build off of.
Yeah, but they have no like superstar. They don't have that one guy. It's definitely not Ben Simmons. But like,
you see his half court shot he tried making at the buzzer. Airballed it.
Stop.
Airballed it, and it was short. Oh my goodness! And he's on my fantasy team.
You've got. They flip. So like once like the whole situation with like the Nets were in trouble when Kyrie was talking about how they didn't need a coach.
Yeah, that was red flag numeral.
He was like, I could be the coach sometimes. Kevin could be the coach. I'm like, come on, bro.
I think some of that really stemmed from how the Warriors sometimes treat Steve Kerr in a way. Because there was that game where Steve Kerr said, all right, Draymond, or whoever he appointed, like a player to be head coach, like, you coach the game today. They actually won, but it's against a lesser team. It's all like hockey jockey, happy smiles on the sidelines.
I don't know. I feel like that's more deliberate. Like, Draymond Green has been doing that in Golden State, for forever. Like, the guy is the heartbeat of the franchise, no matter what people will tell you about Stephen Curry and Clay. No disrespect to those guys, but like without Draymond Green, like you see what happens to their defense, like it just falls apart.
Yeah.
But like when you look at the Nets situation, you can't say that about like bro, anybody, like you just connived your way off of, out of 2 teams before, like the thing with Cleveland. He wanted to be the lead dog. So they ship him over to Boston.
Boston, yeah.
For Isaiah Thomas.
At the time, I thought that was a great trade by Cleveland.
Dude,
At the time, I thought it was a great trade.
No, he had a bad
because you were getting Jay Crowder in that trade too.
Yeah, but
and a first-round pick that was, again, that was Brooklyn's. Like how many times were Boston fleecing on those high Brooklyn first-round picks?
Then Isaiah Thomas had a bum hip, which I was like, why? But aside from all of that, and then he's in Boston. Doesn't like Boston. So now you're in Brooklyn, and then you don't like Brooklyn because you got all the COVID stuff, and then
his social media posts.
You got that. I mean, the dude
Hey, he's in Texas now. He can hop on with Joe Rogan and melt some more minds.
Hey, he's got that. He's like trying to be the smartest guy in the room. Like, no doubt, the guy's an incredible basketball player. But man, like, he can't just get up and be like, yeah, I can be the coach. I mean, clearly you can't, because you can't stay in one spot for more than 3 years. And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna. And red flag number 2 and 3 possibly was when Kyrie was saying like he's gonna help manage the franchise with Joe Tsai and Sean Marks. I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't gonna end well.
You got players that do that in a way with LeBron over the years. You have Kevin Durant to an extent in Brooklyn, Draymond Green a little bit in Golden State to help get Kevin Durant and Golden State in the first place.
But you still have to manage, like, you still have to have a strong enough culture that can push back against, like,
course.
just,
It can't be the league is clearly going, like, if it isn't in there already. Superstar first, player first mentality.
Driven, 100%.
But after all these trades and superstar meetups that failed, it's like, it's the owner saying, it's like, don't let these folks like take over your franchise. It's your franchise, not theirs. Yeah, you're the one paying them.
And then Joe Tsai was like, yeah, bro, I'm not trading you to the Lakers.
No, but nobody.
He's like, I'm not trading you to the Lakers. Like, you're not going where you want to go. Well, like, they sent him to I don't see Kyrie Irving staying in Dallas long term. I don't see it.
He'll probably sign like a 2-3 year deal, and then
I don't even think.
And then a year or two from now, he'll be traded.
I don't even think it'd be that long, because like, this is like the same situation as like Cleveland, like that was clearly LeBron's team, and LeBron was the straw that stirred the drink in Cleveland. And you go to Dallas, and it's Luka, but Luka likes to dribble the ball until like there's 7 seconds left on the shot clock, and he's like, here, and he passes it. It's like, bro, you got no time to work. But I mean, maybe it'll work out. I don't know. Like, but it's just kind of one of those things where the track record ain't looking too good for Mr. Irving there. But I mean, hey, the dude's a phenomenal player.
Given the right matchup in the playoffs, they could make some noise.
Oh, I mean, like he, when Cleveland won the title over Golden State,
they were like they weren't the top 2 or 3 seed. They were like 4 or 5 seed.
But Kyrie
that was when Atlanta was ahead of them, I think.
But Kyrie was instrumental in that series win. So I mean, I'm not going to take anything from him as a basketball player, but like some of these just like decisions, man. Like, but I mean, hey, I'm just a regular dude, so like,
Yeah, what do we know?
Just busted my mic. Sorry, everybody. Like, what do I know?
Yeah.
But like, just from the outside looking in, armchair, quarterbacking or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be there very long. And then Kevin Durant goes to the Suns. Like,
they still keep Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton, and he only cough up Mikal Bridges because he's in Kevin Durant's spot.
They only have like 3/8 of Chris Paul. Like, he's just what's he like, 47? So like, okay, he may not be that old, but still, it's just like he's not creating. Like he used to. Devin Booker hurt. like he's hurt right now or something like that, and kind of a liability on the defensive end. So I mean,
that whole team is they're great offensively, but defensively,
and you don't know
so
what kind of mood DeAndre Ayton's going to be in. So I mean, it's going to be interesting, like how. I don't know. Maybe it.
Good move for DeAndre Ayton, by the way, because there was talks that he was going to leave.
I thought they were going to trade him,
and now he's going to be playing Nets with Kevin Durant. Yeah. Trade to the Nets. Hey. Funny enough, trade to the Nets. That's right.
And like the Lakers, they made some moves, but I still think like they're still not better than
No, they're the 12th, 13th seed right now,
and then
they're nothing.
Go to hometown. Our hometown team, the Grizzlies, like they're marginally better. Or worse, I don't know. Luke Kennard, he can give you some shooting, which the Grizzlies need.
He'll definitely give you shooting. So maybe he steps in the role that John Conchar is in right now. So
maybe he can help Dylan Brooks find his shot. Like
the Grizzlies missed a big opportunity yesterday. Even if they missed a big opportunity.
With who? Don't even say it. If you say OG Anunoby, my goodness.
Mikal or OG with Bridges or OG.
Bro, I'm glad they didn't trade for OG Anunoby.
What's the benefit of not trading for him?
Dude was overvalued. Like nobody else made a play for him. Like you want 3 first-round picks?
Given for the Grizzlies' sake. We have Golden State's first-round pick, so we could send that to them, and we're realistically only giving up 2. But they get 3, but we're only giving up 2 on our 2 pure picks.
I could see
that was the trump card with trading for Kevin Durant or OG in this time slot.
Well, Memphis was getting ready.
You have an extra first-round pick in your back pocket.
Memphis was going to give up everything for KD. They were going to throw in all the picks, everybody on the team, the pyramid, and FedEx Forum. For Kevin Durant.
My thing with Kevin Durant over the summer is that you do not touch Bane. You do not touch Bane at all. You obviously don't touch Ja Morant. And flip a coin. Do you want Jaren Jackson Jr., which he was coming off of surgery actually, or Brandon Clark? Like have your pick. Pick one of them, and then whoever is left on your squad is your starting power forward.
You got to keep JJJ.
Oh, yeah, now you do.
You got to keep JJ.
Now you do, yeah.
And ever since he got that, the sauce named after him and Wing Guru, like things have just been on the upswing.
He got that surgery this summer, and I was thinking the last time he had major surgery, and that was a down year for him, and it wasn't until like another year later that he bounced back. So I had that going off for me as to, okay, like based on history and his track record, this year being the year we're currently in, he's not going to be that dominant. He'll be like not a shell of himself, but not fully 100%.
Right. Now look at him, dude's
leading.
He's a beast.
Is he not leading blocks in the NBA? I don't know. Yeah,
he's a beast. But
it's crazy.
The Suns, they got Kevin Durant. I think is 34, and then we having them see.
That's the thing I will say about these trades. They are for older players.
But these tall dudes, when they start getting knee, foot injuries, like
they go.
That's kind of like you kind of playing. You're gonna get maybe Kevin Durant's probably not gonna play 82 games. It'll probably give you like a good
50,
55, 60. He's gonna miss some games. LeBron's missing games. LeBron's 38. Playing 100,000 minutes a year. He's not playing that many, but still,
he's got no choice. He's got no choice because the team around him stinks.
This is the best player they got, Yeah, but I do think I had some questions once they got rid of Thomas Bryant, but they traded Pat Beverly to the Magic,
and they got Mo Bamba.
For Mo Bamba, which will slide into the 5 spot.
And then AD stays at the 4.
Anthony Davis goes back to the 4 because he does not like playing the 5 because you get beat up, And and for him, that's really a bad deal because, you look at him, he's going to get hurt. So, you got to keep Anthony Davis on the court at all costs because you need those buckets. You need him to stretch the floor. Some pick and rolls, but
The only way the Lakers win a title at all, apparently, with the squad,
all their competition gets hurt.
Yeah, no. Is if they have another 6-month break. They have another 6-month break, and then they restart the season in July in the bubble somewhere. That's the only way they win championships these days. When some unprecedented thing that happens, and by the way, that year when they made it to the bubble,
they got to buy
it. Memphis got screwed. They got screwed in that deal.
They got to buy the championship, man. You got to line some pockets.
Memphis got screwed that year.
But Josh said Memphis is fine in the West. I don't know, bro. Like it looks like we stand.
I love Ja. I love him. There's moments where you want your favorite players on your team to pipe it down or keep their mouth shut. Yeah, like less said the better, because you don't want that attention drawn on you. And then when you are beat, they're like, "Oh man, what's that you said?"
Yep, now you got to eat it, because that's what they're doing right now. You got to eat it.
Him and Dylan Brooks,
but isn't that just the story of like Memphis sports in general?
I would say no, because that was never I never got that case with the grit and grind era with Zebo, Marcus Rowe, and Tony Allen. They were never like that. They played it on the court. They left their mark on the court, and they were
Hollins,
and there's nothing dirty about it. They paint in a dirty light.
They were going to beat you up.
Yeah, like within the rules and the confines of the court in the NBA. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were going.
What Dylan Brooks is doing, like punching people's nuts like all over the place, tripping people. No, bro, and hacking up shots he can't make. There's a reason fans are booing him. We went to the Nets game. Me and my wife went to the Nets game earlier this year.
I'm not gonna call him a dirty player, dude. But like you hit another man below.
He's not doing himself any favors. But
not at all.
The moment, like even the earlier game when Kevin Durant and Kyrie were actually on the Nets at the time, when Dylan Brooks would hack up a shot, like I was like middle top tierish of the stadium, so I could get like a whole perspective of like the actual stadium sound. So the moment Dylan Brooks would miss after his second and third miss, you could tell the fans, like you can hear in the stadium of like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me!" Like, no, stop shooting the ball, man.
Look, if I'm the coach, I'm like, if your first name is Dylan and your last name is Brooks and you shoot the ball, I'm sitting you on the bench. Like.
That's the one thing I
just remember.
That's a frustrating thing I can't stand about Taylor Jenkins.
I just remember the whole. That was Dylan Brooks where he had that post game interview and he was talking about how he is a machine and all that, and like come on, bro. Like, yeah, apparently, because you're making bricks, a lot of them, quickly, like, and then like you can't even trade Dylan Brooks anywhere because
he can't. He's on an expiring contract.
Well. He's more valuable to us than anybody else.
Are we going to resign him, yes or no? No, that money's going towards Bane first before you pay Dylan.
You got to pay. I mean, you hold on. I mean, he's your best. He's one like
that was actually the one benefit.
He's one of your top perimeter defensive players. Even though he can get a little out of control, with keeping his hands to himself.
That was the one benefit years ago. When Desmond Bane was either a rookie or his first year or a year into the NBA. That was one of the benefits of Dylan Brooks being injured for a first portion of the years, that allowed Desmond Bane to show what he can do. And at the time, Dylan Brooks was your number 2. He was starting at the shooting guard. And then Desmond Bane comes in because Dylan Brooks is injured through the All-Star game. And Desmond Bane goes off, to which a light bulb should be going off in fans' heads like, oh, we got someone that can actually shoot, and he's actually really good.
Don't pass the ball to Dylan.
Yeah, exactly. So you have him taking advantage of the number 2 spot in Dylan, and you're not going to be hamstrung or left holding a bag of nothing if you do trade away Dylan Brooks, because now you do it's now more easier to trade away Dylan Brooks because you have Desmond Bane that popped off immediately for you.
It's time to get out of the streaky, because Dylan Brooks is a streaky shooter.
Yeah.
But
so and Jaren Jackson's a streaky fouler.
Yeah. I'm you can correct the fouling. You can coach.
Can you with those long arms?
I mean, you can do some body control. I mean, God, I don't know, take some, some ballet or something like that. Help with your coordination. wide receivers do it. It help like their coordination and body control. Like, don't bite on the head fake.
Yeah.
But like I think the Grizzlies as a whole, we gotta get out of the streaky, like the continual up and down. I mean, they lost like 9 straight before the trade deadline. So like,
and then they won the one against.
That makes
they won a few. Yeah.
That makes trying to trade for OG Anunoby even more of
importance.
More important because you just lost 9 games in a row. Like,
when you lose, your flaws stand out.
Oh,
more.
yeah. But I mean,
that's the key with everything.
You're going to lose games. I mean, you just hope you don't lose 9 in a row. But I mean,
of those 9 in a row or so that we lost, it was like by a combined 12 or so points because
they were close.
Yeah, it was like 1 point, 3 point, 2 point, 1 point games.
But like, it's not even like
where flipped. We could be on a 12.
The fact that
15 game win streak.
The fact that you lost 9 in a row, it's like how you lost 9 in a row. Like, they had the Grizzlies on the ropes and then lost the game in the last second on an uncontested layup, like a complete and total defensive meltdown. Like, those kinds of things make losing 9 in a row, a whole lot harder to deal with and make you want to give away your whole draft stock for OG Anunoby, who is a great,
in all honesty, with those draft picks, are they really going to be good? If the answer is no, then do away with them.
Package them. I mean, you see all the second round picks that got included in trades. Like,
what's this trend of trading away 5 second round picks? Apparently
for Jay Crowder,
and then for
Jay Crowder's not bad.
And then from Detroit for Golden State, and then they packaged those 5 seconds for Gary Payton.
Yeah,
and then New Orleans says, "Oh no, we won't do that. We'll trade you 4 second."
It was a good trade for Milwaukee because I think Chris Middleton is better than Jay Crowder. But if you notice, when Chris Middleton is not in the lineup, the Bucks they're not the same team.
Yeah,
like
Jay Crowder can give you that defensive.
Yeah, he may not be able to give you buckets like Chris Middleton.
I would have been satisfied if the Grizzlies gave up 5 second round picks for Jay Crowder. I would have been satisfied.
Didn't we have Jay Crowder at one point?
Yeah,
and traded him.
And then we traded him for
Justice Miami for Justice Winslow.
That was the whole Andre Iguodala situation.
Oh yeah.
The initial report, which I praised, the initial report was we finally got rid of Iggy and we got a draft pick from Miami or so, and we get Justice Winslow. And then they say a day later we gave away Solomon Hill and Jay Crowder. When they say I'm like, no. There goes your small forward depth.
And then Justice Winslow played like 7 games. Like, now he's in
essentially Chandler Parsons.
Now he's in Portland, bro. I don't even start on Chandler Parsons.
Yeah, Portland just traded for the Philadelphia small forward. Yeah.
Mark Cuban somewhere like, man, I'm glad I didn't pay Chandler Parsons. But I mean, bro, like those knee injuries.
If they had their way, Mike Conley would be with them as well.
Yeah.
So either way, Conley was going to be playing with Chandler Parsons no matter where he's going to go that year.
Yeah.
I mean, during that time. All right, so we are now onto this portion of the show called Buy or Sell. We're gonna skim through some topics here, and then we're gonna quickly do a rapid fire and whether we buy it or sell it. All right, so Marcus, back to some entertainment news. Is that in case you haven't noticed, DC is now its own studios akin to Marvel called DC Studios.
Oh,
and they have recently just announced their Phase 1 plans. It's now the Phase 1 films they have dubbed Chapter 1 to
make sense.
To make themselves different from Marvel, and they've titled it Gods and Monsters. So of the films that were announced, you have Swamp Thing, you have The Authority, you have a brand new Superman, a brand new Batman movie, which has Robin in it, by the way, and you have a couple other obscure characters up James Gunn's alley. So buy or sell.
Bro, what were you about to say? You said you quickly pivoted to the word alley.
James Gunn's alley. Yeah, it's up his alley.
I don't know.
You seen Suicide Squad?
Yeah, but I was just saying.
He made Polka Dot Man and Starro.
Like you were going to say something else, but you said alley instead.
Buy or sell, this 10-year plan of theirs is going to work out in the long run.
I mean, I'm interested. You know, I'm interested, but like, if they're just gonna copy like the whole, you know, Marvel thing and do it exactly the way they do it.
I mean, what else? What other options do you think they can do?
No, I mean, like
because for the last since 2013, they've like released movies somewhat connected.
Like I get the like, you know, like you got the universes and all that stuff, and this ties into that, and you know, this guy and that dude, you know, were friends back in the day. Like I get that, but I mean, like you know, you take like the framework, but you do it the DC way. Don't be DC, you know, and try to be Marvel, like, because there's
of course, yeah,
you know, that'd be my only concern. But like, I'm interested, you know, in like the, you know, the authority, like it's like back in the day where you had Justice League and
Avengers,
like, you know, like you could go back and forth, you know. You got Superman, you got Batman. So I mean, a lot of these like are, you know, nostalgia like for some of us, but I'm interested to see what a brand new Batman, brand new Superman is going to be like, cuz I mean, some of the storylines you're like, oh, yep.
How many more Lex Luthors versus Superman do we need to see?
Somebody needs help. There's a phone. Like, there's no phone booths now. So, like, where's Superman going to change his clothes? Like, you know, like
Spider-Man style. He'll change the back alley somewhere.
Just wear the suit.
He'll change in the back alley and then quickly fly.
Wear the suit under his clothes. You know, like, I mean, I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be cool. You know, I'm excited. I mean, I'm gonna give it a shot and see where it goes. But like, you know,
yeah, So do you buy or sell it then? The initial slate that they announced for Chapter 1.
I mean, I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
All right,
I'll buy it.
I'm going to go ahead and buy this based on who is in charge now and what they have going for it. Is that James Gunn has now proven that he can do it with Marvel, with family-friendly stuff, with Guardians of the Galaxy, and by the way, that Christmas special on Disney Plus, the funniest, like probably the funniest in a long while I've seen Marvel at their best.
I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
And then when he made that jump to DC to do the Suicide Squad, rated R, raunchy. Like the gory gloriousness. The dude is 90s style.
Is super talented. So I'm not, you know, I'd buy it just based off of James Gunn alone.
Yeah.
You know. But I still think that Star-Lord has to die. He's got to die.
No.
Bro, after what he pulled, bro, man.
Infinity War?
They had it in the bag. And then he ruined it all. I mean, we got another movie out of it, but still, like.
Okay, so based on that logic, are we gonna be rooting for Lady Loki to have her head axed off based on what she did, and open up the multiverse and the multiple Kangs that are now coming out?
Oh, bro, like
are we now gonna be claiming for her death? I don't see anyone, shooting calling for her death.
There's consequences and repercussions. Yeah. Like I mean, bro, like. You saw what happened. I mean, for goodness sakes, he got Spider-Man, you know, dissolved. You know, and he's just like, I just remember, he's like, what's happening, Mr. Stark? Like Spider-Man didn't do anything to you.
Yeah, we're kind of pivoting away from DC, but I just had to for that particular scene with Spider-Man,
I had to get it off my chest.
It is, first of all, when they showed Black Panther dissolving, the theater I was in, they immediately were like, oh, please, no, he just had his movie.
Seriously, like, God, you know, like, man.
And then probably the biggest, like, oh my God, no, is when Spider-Man was like, Stark.
Yes.
But I think that scene was so brilliant with Spider-Man because if, like, me being a big fan, and I know this about the mythos of Spider-Man, is that he has, like, not Wolverine healing abilities, but, like, regenerative abilities of like akin to that of Wolverine almost, not to the extent of Wolverine like instantly healing, but yeah. So when like the reason he wasn't dissolving as fast as the others would is because of his own internal spider powers, like doing their best to try to hold him together.
Yep.
So with Wolverine and Deadpool, it probably would have been like the same extent, if not longer, for them to be dusted.
But what if spiders really could regenerate?
I don't know if they do or not.
Like you kill one.
I don't like spiders.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know.
All the more reason to hate them. Like, what if you like kill a spider and then it like regenerates? Like, ha ha, I'm back.
But yeah, back to the buy or sell. Back to the buy or sell here.
Buy or sell regenerating spiders.
I sell that. Anybody would sell that. But for DC in Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, the slate that they actually have with Gods and Monsters, like they have a whole bunch of wacko creatures. Like you have Lady Frankenstein in one of the animated shows they're doing. You have Swamp Thing that's out there. And then you have like the gods portion with Superman, Batman. Maybe dive into the Wonder Woman lore with that TV show that they're doing on HBO Max with the Amazons and whatnot. So
it's gonna be cool.
And so like you had this dichotomy for this first slate of movies of like who's a monster and who's a god essentially.
Swamp Thing is clearly a monster.
Clearly, but but monster can be like interpreted many different ways. Like most people, after seeing Man of Steel, probably like a good portion of them would say Superman's a monster. He just cracked Zod's neck like to oblivion, essentially. Yeah. So like almost of that ilk and kin. So and they also said going forward that not only would TV shows and movies be tied in together, they said video games would tie in as well. Okay. Taking not so much the Marvel slate, but the Star Wars approach to it, where you have these TV shows and movies, and then even the games tie into the greater universe. So they're more akin taking the Star Wars route than they are taking Marvel, actually.
Oh, that's
cool. All right. So next one is
it's a buy.
To stay on Marvel, to stay on the topic of DC for a moment. It was also announced with James Gunn, with the press that he recently did about his first slate of movies at DC, are these movies going to be rated R or PG-13 based, or are they going to be a mixture of both? Because he recently did Suicide Squad, which was hard R. So, and he has recently come out to say that they are going to be a blend of both rated R and PG-13, unlike that of Marvel, which all their films, except for Deadpool 3, are PG-13. So, buy or sell, this is a good idea, and do you think they could manage the mixture of both genres?
I mean, you could split the middle and call it NC-17 if that's still a thing. But like, I mean, like, who are you making these movies for? You know, like, if
DC growing up always seemed a little bit more edgier than Marvel. Like, I mean just face value, value.
I don't think you have to go like. I guess maybe depending on like the story arc of like the character. You know, but like I don't think every movie has to be rated R.
No.
But then I also don't think every movie has to be PG-13. I mean, you know, like if I'm gonna go watch a movie called Suicide Squad, I'm pretty sure that's gonna be rated R.
Yeah.
Just based off of the title alone. But like make the movie, bro. And you know.
So you buy or sell it?
I'm buying it. It's a good idea.
All right. I'm going to say it's a good idea, and I think Marvel, once they see the returns for Deadpool 3 come back in, they're going to make some of their movies rated R. Blade, for example, better be rated R. That better be rated R. The Daredevil show, that better be TVMA, like it was on Netflix. So
can you imagine a PG-13 Blade? Like,
I mean, what rating was the Twilight movies? Wasn't that PG-13 PG?
I think so.
Yeah, so you can pull it off with PG-13.
Yeah, I mean there was like the most extreme thing I think in Twilight was people turning into wolves. You know, which I mean, you see that, you know, in Looney Tunes.
Yeah,
you know,
which for this particular thing though is that's actually Marvel. For some of their stuff lately, they've actually flirted a whole bunch with rated R. So for Werewolf by Night, that just recently came out on Disney Plus, it is a black and white satire that takes place in modern day, essentially. And so, if for those who have watched that one-off 1 hour special, is that there is a whole bunch of blood splatters and all of that stuff that goes on, but it's black and white. It's black and white, so you can't see if it's blood or not. In Multiverse of Madness,
that's actually
in Multiverse of Madness when you have the what was that group with Xavier and them? What did they call themselves? Oh, the Illuminati. The Illuminati. When Scarlet Witch was like destroying them, starting with Mr. Fantastic, just devolved him to string, and then she decapitated Captain America, Captain Carter, and you see for a split second that when that shield hits the wall after cutting through her, you see the blood dripping. So they have so flirted with this in their last few movies that Deadpool's gonna go all out for it. They got to, especially with Wolverine now coming to play.
They gotta do it.
For DC though, you have characters like a Superman where you're not making it radar for obvious reasons. Yeah. You got Batman where you can make it tough and gritty, but it's not going to be radar.
With their Superman sheets and their Batman sheets and
Mommy, what's going on here?
Yeah, nobody has Deadpool sheets,
Oh, you'd be surprised. What grown people do.
We're not a 7-year-old.
Oh no, of course not.
Not a 7-year-old with Deadpool sheets.
Well, you know what? There's actually a cartoon episode with Deadpool in the Ultimate Spider-Man Disney show. And so there are so many portions of it where he's about to do it, where it changes the TV kid-friendly up, and then Spider-Man just whips his webs like, I said no. And he's using laser guns instead of actual guns. So yeah. But for something like The Authority that is now slated for a film release, for those that don't know, The Authority is essentially DC's version of The Boys, which is on Amazon, which The Boys is raunchy out there with the violence and whatnot. So for that warrants a rated R rating. And
100%.
So you have films out there that do warrant an R rating, but the whole point of is this a good idea or not is essentially what the unfounded opinion for Marvel is that you can't make anything rated R. It has to be family friendly because you got all these families coming out, and Marvel's never done any heavy stuff. There are heavy stuff and heavy themes in these Marvel movies.
I'm gonna say, make the movie. Make the movie. Yeah. Because here's my thing. It doesn't need they tried it. They tried it with Deadpool. Where they said, hey, this is not a kid-friendly movie.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, it's Marvel.
You remember the advertisement for the first movie? It was coming out on Valentine's Day. And they made, in the marketing, it was like, this is a love story.
Yeah. And then, you got all these parents taking their kids to go see Deadpool. And then they're, again, like I said it before, they were just, outraged.
You remember the marketing for Lilo and Stitch when it was Stitch popping up in multiple Disney properties?
Yeah.
Imagine the marketing for Deadpool 3 and he's popping up in these previous Marvel movies. It's imagine if he was here, how different this would be.
Right.
And if he's right next to Thanos, chop off his head.
Chop his head off. They probably could have used Deadpool.
Exactly. That's the whole marketing. It's here's where Deadpool could have been handy.
Oh man,
that's your marketing right there.
He probably could have done in Star-Lord. Still hot about that, as you can tell.
It's you shut your freaking mouth right now.
I was
shut your mouth for a few more minutes. All right. This one is up your back alley for the next buy or sell. Aaron Rodgers and the Raiders have been tied together. So buy or sell, he is going to be a Raider, and that's the AFC team that Aaron Rodgers gets traded to. And you are a devout Raiders fan over here.
Man, I'm about to sell it, bro.
Who's your quarterback? You're going to get rid of Derek Carr this week.
Quarterback is
Will Levis from Kentucky.
Our quarterback is Jarrett Stidham. And look, here's the reason why I'm selling it. Because if the one thing the Raiders have done well these past 25 years is to blow every single chance they've had to be a competitive football team. Like, I mean, you had some 12-4. You had a 12-4 season, I think, sprinkled in there with Derek Carr. But I mean, the one consistent thing, we don't play defense at all. Like, we've never, like, even when they drafted the dude from what's old buddy cuz name from Carl Joseph. Yeah, he was supposed to be like, a game changer in the defensive secondary. Like, dude was gone within 2 or 3 seasons. They drafted the dude from Ohio State, Arnett,
the corner, yeah,
who was on social media waving guns around, and they cut him. But then when they drafted, like, who is this dude? Like, they're like, yeah, he was ranked high on our draft boards. No, he wasn't. Come on, just admit you messed it up. They drafted the dude from Clemson, 3rd
overall, 4th or 3rd. I remember.
And I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, there's just no way. Like, even if they do get Aaron Rodgers, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Devontae Adams, you got no idea what you want to do with Josh Jacobs. Like, you got to pay him. I mean, now you have to if you want him to come back. Like, he led the league in rushing last year. So, like, again, this is just typical Raiders, typical mismanagement. They don't know what they want to do, who they want to be. You got this shiny new stadium that, by the way, looks like a giant Roomba.
They call it the Death Star.
No, it's the Roomba. Until the Raiders are winning games, busting people's heads, bringing in championships and Super Bowls, they play in a Roomba. And you want to know why I call it the Roomba is because the Roomba is a vacuum and it sucks just like the Raiders. I mean, bro, like, you have Aaron Rodgers, you had Devontae Adams. I mean, this would just be Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, part 2. You link them 2 guys up, and look what happened. Nothing.
They were up. There were so many games that were up 17 points, and they blew. But do you really think Aaron Rodgers would blow that?
I don't think it wasn't. It wasn't even him. No, because that's the defense's job.
But the offense could keep pouring it on.
No, it's the It is hard to score points. You literally have to score every time you get the ball because your defense ain't stopping anybody. I mean, they drafted Khalil Mack from Buffalo. Now look, they traded him to Chicago for 4 first-round picks or something like that. Blew all of them. And now Khalil Mack
Josh Jacobs was the only one that
stuck. The only one the only one that stuck. Maybe because they declined his 5th-year option.
That's interesting.
So they have to sign him. So technically that didn't pan out, but not because anything Josh Jacobs did. Now Khalil Mack is down in L.A. with the Chargers, wreaking havoc with Joey Bosa. So I mean, the only way the Raiders could change my mind is if
Josh McDaniels is fired.
Yes, bro. Like, I mean, even when they hired John Gruden, they brought him back, and I'm like,
that didn't seem too bad of a move.
It's
better than Jack Del Rio.
No,
it's better than Jack Del Rio.
Terrible move. And the reason why it's a terrible move, if you go back and you look at his performance when he was coaching Tampa Bay, he won that Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's players. But then you go back and you look at their performance. You look at his draft record in Tampa Bay. It was tragic.
Yeah.
Tragic. The only draft pick that he made, I think, that really stuck when he was in Oakland was freaking Sebastian Janikowski. I mean,
wasn't Brad Johnson the quarterback of the 2007 Bucks? They made the playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, this, John Gruden, like Spider Y2 banana, all day, every day. But when it comes down to like, you know, actually fielding a team, like dude was the coach and the GM, you know, and then they had your boy Reggie McKenzie. I actually thought that was pretty decent.
I actually saw his nephew at ODU.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there's actually a video on my YouTube channel, like with the ODU Pro Day of scouts are there. What looked like his twin was there in one of the video shots. Like you can tell because their faces look similar.
Bro, the Raiders hired freaking Art Shell.
I don't know who that is.
To coach. Hall of Fame lineman. Bro, Art Shell literally coached the team. Like he was on the sideline. Like I'm gonna. This was him the whole game.
That's essentially what Todd Downing was for the Titans. Oh man.
We still haven't recovered from Jamarcus Russell. Like, and you know what? Like, I don't want to make, you know, I read the story, all the background, like, you know, with him getting drafted and all the stuff he was going through personally, like, you know, it's pretty up and down. But the whole thing still remains. You got to take some personal responsibility for how things turn out. But also, Mark Davis has to take some responsibility for like the direction of this franchise, which is going. It's getting sucked up in a giant Roomba in Henderson, Nevada. I mean, we deserve better. Like, this has been going on for like 20 years, you know, and I mean, the motto is just win, baby. Well, the only people that are winning are the teams that we're playing against, you know, and we've got a prime opportunity to rewrite the narrative. But I'm willing to bet they're gonna take this first round pick and they're gonna screw it up.
Watch, they draft Will Levis, quarterback from Kentucky.
And I am going to I'm gonna be.
You're better off with Aaron Rodgers, man. You're just better off getting him.
Like, Jared Stidham did not do bad against the 49ers. But
he did horribly against the Chiefs.
Yes. So, like, you kind of got to figure it out. Like, why not just, like, Josh Jacobs was literally the hero of that entire offense. I mean, then you had Devontae. I mean, you get Aaron Rodgers in there, you know.
You win half of those games that you blew.
And a healthy Darren Waller, you know. Then, yeah, you know, you can do something on offense.
You're going to win half of those games you blew.
But if Aaron Rodgers, you know, can play some defense too, then I'm sure he could do better than them guys we got lining up back there. I don't even know who's on our defense anymore. Like, outside of Max Crosby, like,
dude's a beast.
Oh, 100%.
Dude's a beast.
Like, I don't know who else we had back there. Like, I mean, I think outside of Max Crosby, like, any notable, you know.
Most of the players you did have are gone because of stupid things they did.
They're gone. Like, waving around guns on social media, you know.
Wide receivers are, unfortunately, running over folks.
Oh, man. Like, that was tragic.
Yeah.
When that happened to, you know, what Ruggs did, you know, that was tragic. Like, you know, and I mean, again, like, that's all John Gruden, Mike Mayock. Like, Mike Mayock is supposed to be like this draft.
He was great on the NFL Network,
yeah. And then you actually get into it, and your feet are in the fire. You know,
he's making weird like 20-something picks that he's picking at number 4.
Drafting Clelin Ferrell, and we're all like, who? Bro,
he was projected late first round, early second round pick.
There were like some legit studs like on the board that we really could have just put in there.
What draft was that, by the way?
God, I think that was
2018,
2018, I think. Oh, let me look, because now, like,
yeah, who went after him? So,
like, I'd never heard of Clelin Ferrell, and
why you look that up?
I watched a lot of Clemson football because I enjoy it when Clemson loses, and they never once said, "Whoa, Clelin Ferrell is a game breaker." Like,
while you look that up, I'll go ahead and say that I'm actually I will buy this before he came out and said his interest in Devontae Adams and rejoining him. I thought he was going to go to the Jets with Nathaniel Hackett, who's now their offensive coordinator. But now, yeah. So now I actually think they might actually link up in Oakland, in Las Vegas now, and quite the scheming this could be if that was the plan all along to link up somewhere. And Devontae Adams would just he'll buy his time with a year, and then wait for Aaron Rodgers to finish up 1 year, and then join up with him.
All right, here we go. So, this was the 2019 NFL draft.
Okay.
Clelin Ferrell went 4th.
Yeah.
After him was Devin White, Daniel Jones, Josh Allen, T.J. Hawkinson, Ed Oliver, Devin Bush, Jonah Williams, Rashawn Gary, Christian Wilkins. I mean, bro, there's like
Devin Bush, yeah, definitely for your pass rusher.
Brian Burns,
yeah.
You know, and Dwayne Haskins was also in here. Rip Dwayne Haskins.
That was the other first round pick.
I mean, you know, and then they Josh Jacobs, you know, they got him. But I mean, you had some
good players y'all passed on
here. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Deebo Samuel went 36th. Like, he went in the second round. But, like, we drafted literally, like, they used their 4th pick on this guy.
It is what it is, man.
And they could have had not Josh Allen, the quarterback. Josh Allen, the outside linebacker.
I was about to say. Allen was the year before.
So, I mean, you know, you still could have – there's still a lot of – I mean, Jonah Williams, for God's sakes, is manhandling people on that Cincinnati Bengals, you know, offensive line. I mean –
yep.
You know, there's some game breakers on that were selected after, you know.
Tennessee famously passed on J.J. Watt and selected quarterback Jake Locker. So, yeah, how about that for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we can't.
It is what it is.
We can't get them all, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can do better. We can do better, and I mean, gosh, then you move to this shiny new stadium.
Better than the crapshoot that was in Oakland, by the way.
But hey, that was, man. There's blame to go all around for that. You know, you blame Alameda County. They didn't want to fork over any dollars. I mean,
pretty much any hardcore blue state,
bro. They were playing.
It's gonna be hard to get a stadium.
But the city's
gonna pay for.
They were playing baseball in there too. So I mean,
they still are.
Those multi-purpose stadiums. You ever been tackled on
dirt?
You ever been tackled on that? Bro, that hurts.
I fell a few times in Little League and that hurt. Jeez. On that dirt. So bro, like, I know what that feels like as a little kid. Yeah. You know, if it hurts as a kid, it's gonna hurt as an adult.
Oh man, like I don't know, bro. I think this, you know, this next, they better get Aaron Rodgers. They're gonna have to do something. But
it's gonna cost you your first round pick, probably.
I'd
much rather ride my chance with Aaron Rodgers than a Will Levis.
Aaron Rodgers is
Richardson from Florida.
Taking his annual vacation, where he's probably going to do his blackout.
How convenient, blackout. There you go. I mean, maybe that's a sign for the Raiders.
They better get to begging. I mean, at first they were all in on Tom Brady, and you know, Tom's like, he's like, nah, cuz
nope.
I'm out. This last season was too much, you know. So I mean, I don't know. I think
I'm gonna be so ticked off if he comes out of retirement.
I think the Raiders are gonna blow it. Like,
you think they should blow it up? Like restart?
We've done that.
I shouldn't ask you that because you seem to do that every other year.
Every other year we do that. Like, first off, they need to stop giving freaking coach, you know, $100 million. You know.
I mean, you got out of that contract last I checked when the whole
all the email
thing
and all that
came
stuff,
out,
you know,
which conveniently they don't press against
what they need
Snyder
to do,
and the Redskins for.
Oh, they got a whole.
They just went straight towards John Gruden.
They got a whole nother thing going on out there, which we'll probably hear about, next couple of years. But like, honestly, what the Raiders need to do this draft is draft the best player available. That's not a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, same thing with Tennessee is that pick the best O lineman or go out your way and get a wide receiver.
They're probably going to mess around and draft Anthony Richardson from Florida, which does nothing for you.
Whoever drafts Anthony Richardson, let alone top 10 Anthony Richardson, is smoking something.
They're going to be in trouble because
that's the Jake Locker essentially pick of this year's draft. He's a second-round quarterback that has no business being drafted top 10.
I don't think he was that great at Florida. I mean, he put up numbers, but I mean,
he was bad. He was bad at Florida.
But like your overall body of work, like I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. Yeah. I mean,
All right. So lastly, we'll close out this buy or sell segment, which, funny enough, these buy sell segments I've been doing are not rapid fire as much as I want it to be, but it is what it is. So,
because we got a lot to get off our chest.
Yeah, exactly. So, the Grizzlies are in yet another slump. After they had lost their initial games after around Christmas time, they started winning again, and then they start losing again, and we are somewhat in a still different slump now. Post trade deadline. Buy or sell, they're going to make a deep playoff run. By I mean they're gonna flirt with the Western Conference champion, Western Conference appearance in NBA Finals appearance. I'll start off by saying I sell that. They're gonna get past this the first round. They're not getting out of the second. They're not getting past the second round.
I don't think they'll get out of the second round because they're better than the teams that are similarly situated in the West. But once you get, once you get to the Suns are completely remade. Dallas, has got another shot creator, ball handler that can take the pressure off of Luka. And even then, when we go play the Mavericks, we get our butts beat.
We always get our butts beat.
I don't, and honestly, I think New Orleans is better than Memphis with the healthy Zion, but
that's the asterisk you have to put.
Yeah, but it's a toss up for New Orleans. So there's already they can't beat Golden State. They beat them once, but still ended up losing. What was it, 4-2 or something like that?
4-2 in the playoffs.
So until they prove otherwise. So there's I don't think they can beat a healthy Milwaukee team. Well, Milwaukee's in the East, so never mind. But I don't know. I don't see them getting past the second round.
So you're selling.
I'm selling.
Yeah.
Stamp it.
The only thing I would retract my selling is if the matchup is against the Clippers in the second round. If the matchup is the Clippers, I will happily and confidently take the Grizzlies over them. Who's their point guard? That's
a good question.
They don't have any. Terrence Mann is their point guard right now.
Eric Gordon.
Has he played point? I would imagine he did play point guard a few times.
I think he's played point guard.
He's mainly a shooting guard, though.
I think he's more of a 2 guard, though.
Yeah. They don't have a point a true point guard. They traded one from Denver, one of the backups there.
Oh yeah, they did.
But they traded away John Wall, and they got rid of Reggie Jackson.
Back to Houston.
So that's the one caveat I have with the Clippers.
They got
is that
Bones Highland.
Yeah, that's the Denver pickup.
That's them and this other dude named Jason Preston.
Yeah, I expect John Morant to eat them for dinner. So that was always my thing for years is if we theoretically were to play like the LeBron James and Anthony Davis Lakers of years past, why I would feel confident against them is because who they have a point guard for the Lakers? They don't have anyone that's good for the point guard spot for the Lakers.
I think the Clippers.
Same thing for the Clippers.
I think the Clippers still give you a run for your money with Kawhi and Paul George.
Yeah.
You know, Kawhi's got that bulky knee, and Paul George is just like content on you know, just not like, I mean, there's parts, you know, where he's just like content.
Yeah.
You know, like, bro, take a game over. Like, where's Indiana Paul George? Like, where's that guy? Because like now he's with Kawhi, and it's all like, oh, you know, like like I'm good. Like I'm, you know, it's time for me to you know, step aside or whatever he said. And like, bro, what do you mean? Like, you and Kawhi need to get this thing going, because Kawhi is the one that said he wanted to play with Paul George, and they facilitated that trade, but like it really hasn't yielded those results. But even still, like I think the Clippers give you a run for your money. I think the Lakers still give you, they give you a run for your money. I think
Lakers have
Memphis,
to make it first. They have to get the 10th spot first.
They're
13th right now.
I think, but we're gonna see how they end up, how the Lakers end up doing with this remade roster that they have. I mean,
I like the pickup for D'Angelo Russell. I do.
Part 2. Hopefully he doesn't.
The only way he's going away is if Magic becomes the GM again.
Hopefully,
that's the only reason he got. That's the only reason he left, because Magic didn't like him.
Nah, bro. But then what he did to what's your man's name?
Kobe?
Nah, Nick Young. The whole thing with him and Nick Young and Iggy Azalea, and he like put out on like he put all Nick Young and Nick Young's business out on social media, out on Front Street, and then that's how Iggy found out that Nick was doing her dirty, and then after that, my man's was traded to Minnesota. Was it Minnesota? Oh no, was it God, who did the Lakers trade D'Angelo to?
D'Angelo Russell?
Yeah.
Minnesota, yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. The Knicks. It was the Knicks.
Yeah.
With him and Timothy Mozgov, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And then it was shipped him to Golden State, and then they swapped Andrew Wiggins for D'Angelo Russell.
Which I think Wiggins has been an amazing pickup for Golden State.
That's ridiculous, and like not the bad sense of the word ridiculous.
They got tired.
It's like, why? Like, why did Golden State have to have all the good stuff?
Bro,
why?
And then James Wiseman getting traded to Detroit. We didn't talk about that earlier, but like, man, like how far your fortunes have fallen
from being in the good graces with Penny Hardaway, right?
Yeah,
from Memphis, and you're drafted 4th overall after a stupid reason not to play your first year of college ball, and now you're traded for scrap.
Bro, because he couldn't I couldn't imagine a better situation to go in. You got Draymond Green.
You have everything. Yeah.
You got it all. Like
a better situation for Golden State. Yeah, they're down here.
They're really trying to teach you how to play defense.
That was their down here. So.
And then they send you send you down to Santa Clara because, like, for whatever reason, it's not clicking. And now you're in Detroit, where that's like basketball purgatory. I mean, Detroit's got some good pieces, but like that's what they are. They're pieces, but they don't fit in a puzzle. Like you got Cade Cunningham
injured.
Yeah, and then they got another dude that I think is pretty good.
Day or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, 41.
But like, I mean, there's probably worse places to go than Detroit. I mean, they could have traded him to. Brooklyn. I'm just kidding.
There were whispers of us trading for James Wiseman.
They could have traded him
for a few years.
They could have traded him to Charlotte. I could
Dwight Howard.
him
Yeah.
in Charlotte.
We'll give you the Dwight Howard treatment.
Bro, Dwight Howard is over in Taiwan, I think. Just beasting those dudes.
He's enjoying his time. Yeah,
he's having a great time.
Yeah,
he's killing everybody. Like he's getting 39 points and 20 rebounds a game. Like Dwight Howard's out there living large. You know, he's taking a page out of Stephon Marbury's book. You know, hopefully he doesn't get on doesn't go live on like YouTube eating Vaseline. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, it was a sight to behold. He said his grandma said that if you have a sore throat, you just need to eat, you just need to swallow some Vaseline. And I'm like, bro, your
Why?
grandma didn't say
Why?
that. There's no way. No one's grandma has said that ever.
Yeah.
And he legit, like he had a whole tub of petroleum jelly and took his two fingers and just like, I'm like, bro, there's no way. He ate it. I don't even think you're supposed to eat Vaseline anyway. It's called petroleum jelly. Jelly with petroleum in it. And you swallowed this. It's probably still sitting in his stomach right now. Like, I'm like, it's like swallowing chewing gum. Like, I'm just saying, like, but I digress.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to close out a little bit. This one, before we get to our Super Bowl talk, just want to talk a little bit about, go over your experience of recently for Revival Nights. We had quite the week, actually, at Life Church, actually, with the setup that went in with it, the cube wall that we did, the Israel New Breed in town. Like, what was your takeaway or your favorite experience through Revival Night?
Honestly, bro, like, I didn't really see it because, like, I was, you know, I video directed that night.
Yeah.
So, like,
I say, like, your experience of, like,
I mean,
like being able to record.
Well,
I mean, not
so
record, just like direct that sort
that,
of artist.
That was awesome for me.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm sitting here like, you know, this dude that, you know, this is not small potatoes we're talking about. Like this guy's legit.
90s, 2000s nostalgia. Yeah.
This guy's legit. Like this is what he does. You know, and they're like, yeah, you know, and they kept, you know, like, yeah, Israel and the team and Israel and his team. I'm like, oh, okay, his team bet. Like he's bringing his own like video people, and I'm like, oh nah,
no,
they're like, nah,
not that team.
They're like, nah, not that team. Like as far as like band and vocalists, yes,
yeah.
I'm like, oh okay, so
yeah, Israel New Breed. That's
so,
his. That's his.
I mean, you never
gang.
know. Like, I mean, you know, when we had Young and Free, like it was kind of the same deal. They're a little bit more hands on, but it was cool. Like it was fun. Like that whole night, you know, especially with like the weather and how nasty it was. Like as it got closer and closer, you know, to doors opening and like you see them arrive and they're bringing in their gear, they're getting set, you know, and you could feel like that electricity. You could feel that energy, you know, and I mean. And I think the other part of it was, you know, I didn't really know what to expect from like an arrangement standpoint, you know. So, you know.
Luckily for me, and while the video was recording, I was helping out Kenneth run lyrics.
Yeah,
because
bro,
it's like what song is this? I'm like, it's this song.
Yeah,
he's on this line here.
Yeah,
like that was the song. That was like, I tell you what, that first portion was like pure 2000s nostalgia for me. That was the songs I would play drums to. I'm like, he's gonna say that. He's right there.
We needed that,
and I mentioned it to you in there. It's like he's the worship leader where he's not beholden to a script, essentially. He's like the Holy Spirit flows with him, with his worship flow. It's like, oh, you're done with the song. Oh no, he's going back into the bridge.
That's what makes it fun, you know, and you know, like
It's fun, but for us in the technical end, it's a headache. It's a headache a little bit.
It can get a little stressful, But like compared to some of the other stuff, that we do where it's all done like in house, we get all of the like this person's gonna stand here, that person's gonna stand there, then this person's gonna start So we have a comfort level established, but like with with Israel and New Breed, like, I got to see like how they were going to be situated on stage, which is good. But, not having a feel for who, you knew he was leading it.
Yeah.
So, you kind of already knew, but like some of the other parts where different vocalists would join in and they'd hit like a, bridge or chorus or whatever, so it's like, when I'm talking with camera operators, I'm like, hey, like we use the big jib for like the transition and all that. Yeah. Like, hey, like just be ready because we're gonna have to feel
just
these
like just go
out,
back and just keep going back and forth throughout the whole service.
Just give me, but I will say this: their music director and that track guide, like that's really kind of what
eased it,
helped me because I don't know how people video direct, but I know for me, like I'm listening to the track guide, I'm listening to the MD, and some MD music director, some MDs are a little bit more vocal, and some aren't, which is okay, but when you don't hear the track guide and they're doing their thing and they're in it. And then the MD, you hear him say, bring it down. Then I'm like, okay, they're bringing it down.
Transition.
Let me transition to another camera. Let me transition to a wide shot. And, they're kind of doing their thing. And then he says, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, all right, let's bring it in big. And then, you're when you just have music, just instruments, you're kind of cycling between, you're going some wide shots, because there's nobody singing on stage, Israel's playing the guitar, so that makes it easy.
Yeah.
But then when he says, all right, let's go in big, and then they go in big, like I can transition in sync, so it's like, I'm kind of following them, but like, there's just like I think, there's always a level of preparation for me that I have, which is, like it kind of doesn't matter what's going on around me. It's just like, okay, I need to watch kind of how their rehearsal. I mean, they had their rehearsal. I kind of watched it and I got some ideas, but at the end of the day, I was like, we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah.
And boy, did we have fun. We had a lot of fun. Like, I even,
I told you, I think I told you and Angie in the back control room, was like, this is going to be a hectic day with Israel. And like with Angie, she was like, with some of the stuff I say, it's like she almost takes it seriously with my word selection. I'm like, no, hectic as in, like we're all gonna be holly jolly about it. Like
it's fun.
Yeah, but to your point, it's gonna be fun.
But like I think just like our level of preparation and execution really allows us to navigate those moments a little bit better, as opposed to if we didn't prepare the way that we do. Like for our own weekend services and our own events, it's just like, hey, like at the end of the day, our number one responsibility, at least to our senior leadership, is to be able to flow with them. So, we have things laid out like, okay, we hit this segment, we're going to talk about A, B, and C. But then when, your MC gets up, they may not go A, B, C. They may go C, B, A, or they may not mention any of it, and it's just like, okay, cool. Like we can roll with that. Like it's fine. So I think people are ready. They're ready, and I think throughout the week, when you know what position you're going to be in, like there's mental preparation that goes into that. Like,
Yeah.
if you know you're on ProPresenter, you know, on Sunday or Wednesday or whatever day the event is, you're preparing mentally for lock. You're mentally preparing for that up until you're there. So you have some kind of preparation. You already have the mindset for it, which I think really is underrated. Underrated kind of skill, but I think we do that, you know, tremendously well. But overall, I think just from managing that night, having the worship, you know, everybody coming together, agreeing on what will work the best, you know, it really was a great night, you know, 100%. Like, I had fun.
Yeah.
I was tired, you know, but in a good way.
Yeah.
You know, like, I left it all, you know.
Yeah, you left it all out there.
Left it all out there, you know. My camera operators, like, they did phenomenal, you know. I even got to execute, you know, some maneuvers on the switcher that I wouldn't do on a Sunday, you know. But, you know, it's like, hey, let's do something cool. Let's do something fun.
Yeah.
You know, and ultimately, a lot of people, you know, even from Monday, you know, with Manny Arango, like, still hearing stories about how many people, you know, have came out of those two nights,
mm-hmm.
you know, with like a new release on life, or just a complete mindset change, or made a fresh start, or recommitted, like, and that's, you know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, it's definitely one for the books.
Yeah, it is.
You know, and plus, I think the other part was, like, there really wasn't a lot going on stage as far as like
it was like your standard worship.
Yeah,
it was like your standard worship. So it's like
lead
lead singers there, then the other singers are off to the side, like
and
they usually
we
are.
had the square with the prayer hands in it, you know, which was cool, but, like,
it wasn't drastic. It wasn't like Access Conference.
Yeah,
like
it was
drastic.
like it was like a tasteful accent, but, like, all the action, all the attention was what was going on the platform,
on stage, yeah.
which I think ultimately that's what people want to see, you know. But you know when you're cutting for your online program, you want to show, like, kind of what the room looks like, and then after that, that's it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you get your initial bam, this is what the room looks like. After that, you know, you're you know, I'm taking my role as a video director, like, okay, now you need to be linked in with what's going on the platform. You know, like, you know that there are people here and what's going on. You need to see people on the stage. You need to see Israel on the guitar. You need to see the vocalist. You need to see all of that stuff. Because, like, when you're at home, it's different watching a service at home. You know,
mm-hmm.
It really is. And I want people to be. I hope that, you know, when I cut, that people are connected.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want people like, man, there goes that wide shot again. Gosh, like, what's going on? I can't even see who's on stage. You know,
try directing static shots at an Episcopal church where there's, like, no wiggle room to go around. Try cutting that together, which is what I dealt with for a year and a half, which I'm still grateful for because it's what let me here.
Yeah. I mean, it takes, you know, it's depth, but I'll tell you what, like, I couldn't, you know, when I moved to Memphis with my wife Rochelle, like, I was working for Continental Tire, you know, I'm selling truck tires. Rochelle's working at Macy's, you know, but, like, and I'm like, you know, and I'll just be completely honest with you, bro. Like, I was a terrible tire salesman. Like, you know, I mean, I had accounts, you know, but, like, it wasn't anything like.
Do you still get discounts on tires?
Nah. It wasn't groundbreaking, you know, like my sales numbers, but, like, you know, one thing I did learn out of that job was loyalty. Like, mm-hmm. you know, I go try and sell this dude, and he's like, yeah, man, I buy my tires from my guy around the way at XYZ tire company, you know, I've been buying from him for 15 years. I've known him for 20, and his son's about to marry my daughter. We go fishing once a month. I'm like, well, you know, nice to meet you. You know, if like the world turns upside down and you need a tire and you got you know your family, you know, for whatever reason can't get you, like, you just give me a call. But like, I knew it was never gonna happen. Like, I would have to pay them to take the tire from me, but even then it would never be enough, because it's like, nah, like, that's my guy, man. You know, so I learned loyalty. Like, you know, it's definitely underrated. You know, and I'm like, so I learned that. I learned how to talk to people, even though I'm kind of more on the introverted side. But, you know, but to tell me that I would
You think you're an introvert?
Yeah.
I would consider myself an introvert. Like, I still don't know how I was 10 plus years ago in Axis, because it seemed, my wife was actually mentioning this to me the other night. It's like, oh, you're Josh's wife. Oh, you're Josh's wife. It's like, okay, what's my first name then? Am I only known as Josh's? I'm glad I have that reputation with the church 10 years later in terms of that loyalty. But now, like, the things that folks might tell you or know of me, of what I did back then, it's like, it's almost like I have to bury my head in embarrassment. Did I really do that? Did I really do that?
Hey, you got, you know, like, man, like, that happened. But like, they know you from then. Like, they don't know you like now. So like, it's like a whole different, you know.
Johnny Hill said it best. Pastor Johnny Hill actually said it best to me when we first moved here. It's like, that's great, you know those people, but this is a new season of life, and you have to sow new seeds and new relationships with new people in this new season. It's great you have those seeds from the past, and they still may be helpful.
Yeah, but you can't put the, you know, can't put the new wine in the old wine skins. You know, if you tear up the wine skin and you waste the wine. Yeah. But like, you know, I think, you know, it's you know, it's cool to kind of see how like all that unfolds. You know, like, especially when you pray about something, and you know, you pray about it. I feel like when you pray for something that you know is in your heart, because, you know, like the scripture says, delight in the Lord and He'll give you the desires of your heart. Mm-hmm. You know, He says the desires of your heart, but you have to delight in the Lord first. So when you delight in the Lord, and then there's something that you're praying about that you want, you know, that you feel called to or led to or whatever, and you pray for it, I feel like you have every right to pray for it, you know, to wrestle with it, to get frustrated with it, to put it down, to pick it back up, to go through all of the, you know, all of the ups and downs, you know, in waiting, you know, for those things to come to fruition. Because there's stuff that I prayed for, you know, the stuff that's happening now, I prayed for, you know, 7-8 years ago, you know, and it's just like, dang, you know, you had to wait 8 years for prayer to be answered. I mean, honestly, I look back on it like, you know, the entire experience was in line, you know, with what I prayed, even though I couldn't see it at the moment, you know, but like, it make it worth it. I think anything good, anything worth praying for, anything good, anything that you're asking the Lord for, you know, it takes time for good things to come to fruition, because then you appreciate them more. Like, if I had got what I prayed for instantly, I can't tell you that I'd appreciate it. I can't tell you that I'd appreciate the journey, because it's like, what journey? I didn't have to do anything, you know? My
interview process, we're coming up on a year now. We're coming up on a year of when I was first contacted by Stephen Lynch, and that process was 7 months for me. Like, 7. No, and I thought it was going to go by quickly, because I had the initial phone call with him, and then like 2 hours after the fact, I get the email saying, "Hey, you want to talk with Will, Angie, Brian, and the crew and the media team for a follow-up like Zoom call?" I'm like, Sure, why not? Like 24 hours after our initial. Seems like this is, and then month. Hey, let's fly you out here for Access Conference. Month. Here's your job offer in July after the initial call in February.
Yeah, bro. You know how budgets. You know how all that stuff goes, man. Like head counts and everything. But hey, your process went way shorter than mine. Like,
what was your process,
bro? I went through all of the leaderships, all of the leadership environments.
Oh, the life leadership.
I did the foundations. I did life leadership year 1. I did life leadership.
I did
the
equivalent of. I remember doing the equivalent of leadership foundation, which was Second Mile back in the day.
I did Second Mile before the year before they changed it to foundations, but like. Bro, like it was a lot, man. Like, you know, there were definitely a couple times where I really questioned my decision. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm gonna be like, I just want to come to church, worship, receive a message, go home. Yeah. You know, like that. Like it was legit, just like beating me up so bad, and I'm just like, what is the point? Like, what am I doing this for? Like, for who? For what? You know, but. You know, it just goes to show you the importance of having, you know, godly people around you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that are able to pour into you. Because, like, I was empty, you know, at that point. Like, it'd been like nonstop, you know, from Second Mile to year 1 to year 2. It was nonstop. And don't get me wrong. Like, I didn't have, like, I loved serving. But at the same time, you know, You hit a wall, like you hit that wall. I think everyone hits it at some point, you know, where you've put in a lot of time, you've put in a lot of work, a lot of late nights, early mornings, frustration, good things, you know, not so good things, and you hit a point where you're like, this is not what I prayed for.
Yeah. So
then it's just like, okay, you know. You know, I talked to, you know, a good buddy of mine, Eric Criswell. I'm like, I'm about to quit. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm about to walk away from all of it, you know? And he was like, don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, you got a few months left. Just finish it. Because, like, he's like, no matter what, time is going to go by. So either you're going to be able to say you finished, or you're gonna have to say that you quit. And for me, like you probably can't tell, but like I'm competitive. Like I'm not gonna quit. Yeah. Like I have to do this, you know. And I stuck with it. You know, I prayed. I was like, you know, I'm like, God, I don't know how you working this out, but right now it ain't working for me. Mm-hmm. Like I'm about to quit.
Yeah.
You know, but that prayer definitely got answered with the people in my life that poured into me, you know, that were, you know, that really kind of boosted my you know, my energy level, my belief in what I was praying for. 'Cause I mean, ultimately, you know, you pray for something, you get tested. You know, Jesus got tested, you know. Mm-hmm. Every time he turned around, there was a Pharisee in his face, you know.
Testing him, asking questions.
So like, you know, and once, you know, I was able to see that, like, okay, this is that pruning, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm glad I didn't quit, you know, because if I did, I wouldn't be, you know, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now, you know. So I
remember for me, I graduated with bachelor's in record time. Actually, it usually takes you 4 years. I did it in 2.5 years to get my bachelor's.
You're taking like 40 credit hours a semester? Like
no, what they did at Full Sail University for the online courses at least was one subject, 1 month. Move on, next subject. Huh. And then you have like your 1 week in fall and 1 week spring break. And then maybe there was or was not a 1 week in summer. Mm. It was all year round. It was all year round college. There's no semester. There's no such thing as semesters. It was like one subject a month, move on. One subject a month, move on. College mathematics was my worst. Oh my God. I squeaked by that class. One of my grades was like a 40 or a 30. That's how bad it was.
Ouch.
That's how bad.
I've been there, brother.
College math is like this is more than algebra. This is called college mathematics.
I've been there.
So
I've been there.
So there's the period of time between 2016 and 2017, and even through 2017 when I got that job at Old Dominion University, where, I mean, it was part-time, but the fellow that ran the operations knew of me from Life Church, of all things in the world. Like,
word travels fast.
Yeah, exactly. So saw my resume reel with some of the Life Church stuff in it, and he's basically, that's how I got my foot in the door, both video related, but also in the athletic department as well. A year later in 2018, Ted Alexander, who's the voice of the Monarchs, he's buddies with who is the chief photographer at the local news station there. He's actually the godfather to the chief photographer's son. And they play golf every summer, so that's how I got my foot in the door at News 3 in Virginia. But then there's a section in 2020 where, and it was creeping its ugly head in the newsrooms, especially during the whole political stuff, Trump stuff, and then it bled over into state politics to where it's a
nice heaping, nice double scoop of COVID for you.
No, it wasn't COVID. COVID kind of pushed it over the edge a bit, but it was creeping its head through 2019, especially where
the COVID was just the decoration on the cake, you know.
That actually was not the icing on the cake, actually. So
it was the decorations.
So my time at News 3, though, I say that because my time at News 3, it was because local news stations are not your CNNs or your Fox Newses. Like, they cover local news and they cover some of the feel good stories that's happening locally in the community.
National stuff gets all the
exactly. And so the moment they started, like, there were moments I tried recording with my phone, but with the security cameras that I could hear arguments in the back rooms of the news station of like where they decide what content gets created. There was so much yelling of, why are we doing the local stuff? Like, why are we covering the local stuff here? We should be covering like Trump stuff and political stuff. And for me as a Christian, I always carry myself like I have my views, but I don't voice them out because when we're working this kind of field of news is we got to stick together, and the common goal is just essentially put out what we're told to put out. So there came a point in 2020 where, and I mentioned this in the interview process actually, when they said, "Hey, it says here you left in June 2020. Why was that?" And there was a fallout between me and News 3 to where ultimately it was okay, this is not what I signed up for, essentially. And then there's something else that happened to where ultimately, like, we just went our separate ways, essentially. Yeah. So that being my full-time job, that was like a pillar, like, financially. And with COVID happening, there was nothing going on with ODU, so I had no income. So I was flirting with, I almost joined the Army. That's how desperate I was. And then thankfully, a local Amazon job opened up, which essentially made that ODU stuff back. And then a month later in September, I get let go because under the guise of COVID, they can't keep their staff around. And then luckily for me,
I was a COVID casualty in 2020. Yep. Yep.
How so?
Bro, so when they started doing like the stay-at-home orders and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then like the whole essential business thing.
What's essential? What's not essential?
About. Yeah. So like, I remember this. This is hilarious to me. So like, our corporate office, emailed every location. This
was your tire shop?
Yeah.
Tires are essential, I would hope.
with the company logo on it and like this weird font. It said essential business with the company logo on it. And it was hilarious. It was the funniest thing ever. But like, you know, you're a job like that, like it's face to face.
Yeah.
You know, when you lose the face to face element, like you can't really sell anybody over the phone, especially if you've never met them, if you haven't seen them, or if you've seen them twice.
Yeah.
You can't make that. Those are like maintenance stuff, like people that you already have relationships with. You may not see them, but you'll call them, you know, text them or whatever, you know, just check on them. But like, you can't really generate new business like that. And you know, deliveries are non-contact. You know, companies aren't letting people in that aren't employees there already or have appointments. So like, you couldn't cold call, you know, but then you couldn't set an appointment either because
they essentially just leave the keys for you.
You get the gatekeeper, you know.
Yeah.
And they filter out, you know, those kinds of calls. So I mean, you know, it's a struggle there, and then, you know, it's kind of like last guy in, first guy out. You know, so like, hey man, we gotta let you go, and I'm like, dang,
yeah,
you know. But I mean, you know, it wasn't. It stung, you know. Don't get me wrong, but like, I knew I wasn't gonna, you know. I was like, this. I got.
Yeah, even for my ODU job,
you know,
like I barely stuck around in 2019.
I was like, this is
because of budget cuts. I almost lost my job at ODU because of budget cuts because they were. I don't know if they still are, but at the time they were lousy with their handling of finances. And so my boss at the time, he's no longer there because he got axed ultimately, is that I will never forget of how much he vouched for me with the ODU alumni and the administrators there. So I went from 30 hours per paycheck to 15 hours per paycheck. So he's like, I gotta have him around. Like he's that essential.
Better than 0 hours a week, you know. But like it was tough, man. Like, you know, but as you get to praying, and you know, they're like, oh, well, what are you gonna do? Like, I mean, I'm gonna do like, you know, I'm gonna do what I need to do, you know. And I mean, you know, they did all the stuff with the unemployment during that time, so that made it easy, you know. I was still able to, you know, food on the table, bills, all that stuff. Like, it wasn't like you were rich, you know, but it definitely eased the pain. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, we were like, you know, destitute or anything. Like, we were still able to handle stuff, but like, you know, it was still, you know, like, this isn't going on forever, you know. So like, you know, you still out, you know, looking for jobs, applying, all that stuff, you know. And, you know, there was a point where like, oh, this sucks, you know. But like, it actually ended up working out for me because I ended up being able to go through the second year of life leadership, you know, full time. I was able to do that. It's something that I had wanted to do prior to. Yeah. Only Rochelle knew that. But then when I got laid off, you know, and I told her, I was like, hey, you need to come pick me up from work. I just got laid off. And she's like, oh, okay, well. She's like, well, then, you know, hey, well, you know. She's like, I hate that happened, but, you know, God's going to take care of us. But, hey, you know, good thing is you can do life leadership full time now. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. So, you know, that worked out, you know, and you know, I think classes started in August, I think. And then a few months later, you know, I was into January, I think February 1st, I think. You know, it's like my first official day on staff. So like it's just crazy how like all of I can look back and see how like all the prayers were answered. But I can also say like, I can look back and be like, there's no way I could have plotted this like myself. Because some of the stuff, like, it's just completely random, you know, because like when you're at home, you know, you're at home and you pray for stuff, you're like, I feel like there's this understanding like, okay, well, this is what I want and it's going to happen here where I live, you know. I was praying for a church leadership environment to develop me in you know, in ministry, you know, back when I was living in North Carolina, but like It didn't happen in we were living in Durham. It didn't happen in Durham. Living in Charlotte, didn't happen in Charlotte. But then all this stuff happens, and I end up in Memphis. I'm like, ain't no way. I'm like, I don't want to go to Memphis, but here we are. And I got what I asked for. So like, there's no way like I could have in those North Carolina days. Look, yep, Memphis, the Life Church. That's where all this is going to work out. Like, I couldn't.
Yeah, in my heart of hearts of wanting to come back here for the longest time, there's always in the back of my mind, it's like, yeah, that's cool. That'd be cool if it works out, but what are the chances of that happening? It's like,
right.
Because in my back of my mind, like people always folks who ask you, what's your dream job? What would you like to do? I said of the 3 jobs, like of the 2 things I really want, I want to be video related stuff with the Titans or the Grizzlies. If I can't have either of those 2, the closest thing to that is the production team at the Life Church. That was the closest thing because of the folks that we work with, the environment that is, and the continuing growing of such environment. So, and then one thing leads to another. I'm leading I bring up the Galley Church media team. It was me and a sound guy, essentially. So it was just the 2 of us that we built everything from ground zero. We just had the soundboard, and then they ordered the whole Panasonic static cams in March of 2021. We stream and we bring forth the Galley Church into the 21st century, essentially. Hey. And so that ultimately, my positioning there, looking back on it, it's God saying, how much do you? It's almost like the parable with with what was talked about the past few weeks about you have 2, can you duplicate that? Can you duplicate? Can you turn 2 to 4? Essentially, talents. Yeah, the talents parable. Yeah. It was so looking back on that, it's almost like God. I can see saying God telling me, it's like, okay, you want this. What can you do with this right here with Galley? So it was nothing, and we turned it to a whole plethora of stuff, not just video streaming stuff, but also creative videos that we did. Yeah. So off to the side, and so one thing leads to another, and it leads me to Life Church. Yeah. And the beauty about this job is that, unlike Galley Church, where I'm involved I'm in charge of everything from graphic making, video editing, video streaming, video directing, video creation, YouTube stuff, everything. It was Angie had Angie chatted with me a little bit a few months ago where it's like, hey, this is your lane. It's good it's good you know all this stuff.
You can do it.
Yeah, but this is you don't have to worry about that.
In some ways it's a relief.
Yeah, it is.
It says, my yoke is easy and the burden is light. So
and I've mentioned it to Brian Petrie about who's the head, who's that pretty much the head honcho that runs the joint with the production team. It's and he knows. It's I chat with him hey, if you need an extra camera guy or if you're on a trip somewhere, hit me up. I would love to contribute that because that's what I do. That's what I do.
Definitely, expanding the skill set. And that's kind of one of the things where even with the with the parable, with the talents, I think even though you pray for one, you pray for something, it's like it's like you pray to God for a table, and he gives you a tree,
Chop that tree down and make a table.
But God, even in the process of turning that tree into a table, God is with you in that process to make sure that that the table, the finished product, the end result, is stable, is fruitful and worthwhile and all of that. Because you're not going to ask God for a table and he give you a tree and then he allow you to make a raggedy table. Like building the ark. You imagine like there had to be some. God was all up in that, because I mean, ain't no man building no ark that.
Have you seen Evan Almighty?
Yeah, I have.
That's pretty much how they probably did build the ark.
Like there's I'm just like there's no way. Like
Gopher wood, yeah.
And by all accounts, this ark was huge. I mean,
have you ever been to the replica one in Indiana?
No, I want to check it out though.
So does my wife. I want to check it out too.
I don't think that when you pray, and God is moving and working things out, that He leaves you to your own devices. Because if that were the case, like, all right, well, I'm gonna work on this, and you go, it'll, do whatever. I'd be off track. I'd certainly be off track. So like, He doesn't leave us alone in the answering of prayers and everything, but like, you can look back and just kind of see where the that whole footsteps in the sand thing. You're like, God, where are you? And God's like, bro, like I'm
here.
I'm right here. Like I've been carrying you this whole time. Like But I mean, it's easy, especially like when you look up, and there's just like nothing but calamity. You got political upheaval. You got a pandemic. You got just a complete fracturing of social norms and mores and
a fraction of trust in the public eye of what we would normally trust now. People are skeptical about now. The stuff that's coming out with Pfizer in the last month, it leaves you pulling your hair like, what's going on here?
Like the State of the Union address was just like a complete disaster. There's no all political sense and decorum has just been thrown out the window.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I can't. Most people will shift the blame to one side or the other. But I mean, honestly,
it's all around.
It's all around because it's like with the story with the wolves. Like, which one do you feed? The one that you feed is the one that grows stronger. But like both
everybody's
sides
been fed,
are feeding this beast,
this beast of division,
and I think this is probably like the worst time, to be divided. I mean, look at even like all the like the geopolitical changes and economic shifts in different parts, from one part of the world to another, like. You got all kinds of stuff happening. And I think, even I think the one thing that came out of, the Trump presidency really just highlighted a lot of these things, and not to say that it's good or bad, but just to say your attention now is on things that you didn't really think about before.
Yeah.
You think like the Gilded Age, where on the face everything was nice and shiny, but underneath, it wasn't.
Yeah, it's moldy, it's dirty.
There's some real issues. And that's basically it. There's real issues. Both at home and abroad. Yeah. So instead of fighting, it's almost like, okay, well, how do we work together in making this better? But I mean, I understand not everybody is going to be happy. You're not going to be able to be all things to all people. There are people that some people benefit more than others, and I think that's probably the hardest part. Is the sacrifice that's required, because you have to give something up.
I mean, politically, that was for politics, that was always the norm. Up to the first part of the Bush eras, where you had the Clinton era, where you had Newt Gingrich the deal for America, and Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich went back and forth, that brought forth a surplus in our economy. And then same thing with Reagan and the House Democrat leader at the time, brought forth the prosperous 80s for us. And then
like you think it's like,
I mean, so it was up to pinpoint where it all starts to come tumbling down to where it is today. Folks can say it was when Barack Obama was elected president. Some can say it was when Trump was elected president. I tend to be of the belief set that it's when these social media companies start getting too 100%. Big.
Because like I remember, I was a sophomore in college, when social media became a thing.
Yeah,
and that's like the very like MySpace, and then like the very earliest iterations of Facebook, where you had to be in college, you had to have a college email address, your school had to be registered and verified with Facebook. But,
which is something they actually did really, really well with the social network movies.
And then it really changed. I think it started kind of taking a turn for, I'm not going to say the worst, but in another direction when they opened up Facebook to, I think it was like, you could be as young as 13 and get a Facebook account.
Now you can be any age, yeah.
So now, I'm like, man, I don't know if this is really that good of an idea. But then, now you have like the proliferation of social media and parasocial experiences where people look at these influencers and they look at talk show hosts and music artists and feel like that they're friends. I'm like, these people don't know you and you don't know them. So now you're framing your life, your self-worth, your value off of your ability to emulate what you see in a snapshot on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. I mean, I can't even begin.
Like imagine if those same fanatics on social media were that devote to the Bible or to church. Imagine the revival that Pastor John's talking about.
And not to say that they're not, but I think the bigger issue is more. I think it's more because of like just this our culture now. Like we're very materialistic. You hear it all the time. With debt nationwide, states in debt, cities filing bankruptcy,
inflation, gas
all
price,
of that stuff.
all of that. Yeah.
So like, people's religion is materialism.
Politics has become a religion in and of itself.
So, I mean, you have well, I mean, you have a just like this weird melding, joining together of political ideologies, of economics, even culture, even religion, all like just into this thing now.
Yeah.
That's on its face labeled as evangelicalism, but when you examine the foundation, like the pillars of what we're looking at, it's anything but that,
Yeah.
And you look at the Bible and you look at what Jesus taught, what he preached. It's completely different than what we're looking at now. And I mean, and not to say that people are doing something wrong, because I can only speak for myself, but you see it when you have, you see like a crucifix in somebody's yard with the American flag draped over it. Like it to me, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because we're I don't think there for one is any limits to God's blessing. Like he bless whoever, whomever, whatever, how many ever, whatever. But the important thing about blessing is that it's a state of mind first. And I don't think that it's, for me, I can't say because, that God has blessed me specially because I'm an American and that person's not. I can't say that. Yeah. All I can say is like, hey, I believe in God. I'm born in America. I'm an American. But at the same time, this is my beliefs. This is how I'm gonna go about things. Honor thy father and mother, remember my relationship with God and my relationship with my fellow man are not independent of each other. Because if I hate my fellow brother, then I clearly don't love God. One of
the scriptures that still reigns true is I can't remember if it was Jesus or God telling this in the Bible, is the nuances, like to paraphrase in today's environment, is you have Facebook, you have the social medias, and you could possibly be a big influence on such platforms and whatnot. Let the ways of this world transform you. Don't let it conform you. Don't be...
Yeah, that's Romans 12:2. Don't be conformed to the ways of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And there's social behaviors that you subscribe to. Like, you don't kill people. You don't murder people. You don't steal. Yeah. Those things that we can agree on are abhorrent, but I think social media, I feel like, is a tool because you can get on Instagram right now and you can find a whole bunch of people on there that love the Lord, that are using the platform to accentuate like the message that whatever their church or their synagogue or whatever is putting out there. But then like you can also find just as many people that are out living life lavish, be like, yo, if you don't have a Lamborghini in your driveway, like what are you even doing? But like I think the hardest part now is like you kind of get, social media is going to show you more of what you're already looking at. So if it is the like influencers with the clothes and the cars and the bling and all of that, and that's all you're going to see. Because social media,
because of the algorithm,
is going to they're just going to reinforce that. They're going to keep giving it to you, and then that's eventually all that's going to be your filter, your lens of what you look through. So like if it isn't immediately prosperous, then it's worthless. So if I pray to God and it's going to take him 8 years to answer this prayer, why am I going to wait 8 years when I can just buy this dude's e-course for $97 and be a millionaire tomorrow? But then you pay the $97 and then you're not a millionaire the next day.
Yep.
Meanwhile, you pray to God and just because you pray and it takes 8 years for the everything to come into fruition doesn't mean that there's not going to be, blessings and things that happen within, that time frame, and not to say that it takes 8 years for God to answer prayer. I just think for me, looking at, like, I can specifically identify a period of time where, from the initial prayer to when things happen. But I can only do that because I waited the 8 years, and I waited the time and I didn't abort mission, even though I came close, So I'm like, God, this ain't working. Like this is kind of getting on my nerves, We got to fix. We got to change something, But I think.
And God has his sense of humor in there,
Oh,
where, like, he'll put you through that, and then when you're where you are today, where I am today, we form fellowships like the way we do, like you and me right now on this podcast together.
Yeah, for sure.
all part of God's timing and His.
Well, that's the answer. Really is friendships and really identifying the commonalities and even the differences. But like the differences, honestly, man, I think what makes us different is what makes people different is what makes relationships special.
Yep.
Because there's a uniqueness, there's a value that only you can bring, or that I can bring, or that somebody else could bring, because we're different. We see things a little bit different.
Yeah.
But we also have to be willing to, recognize, like, man, I looked at that. You get new information, or you get a new revelation about old information, and you can say, like, man, I need to rethink this. Like I was looking at this through, there's a healthier way for me to look at this. There's a more mature way. There's a more godly way, and then when you can frame, I feel like when you can frame things healthily, then you become healthy, and that influences how you look at how you go about your life at work, school, your community, because people see that. I can't begin to tell you how many babies I have come across, and they wave and they smile, and I wave and smile back, and they eat it up. Now, hey, maybe that's just what babies do, But like for me, I'm looking at that like, hey, this baby saw me and they waved. And I'm like, cool, I think babies pick up on, I may be weird, but I think babies like pick up on that kind of stuff. I don't know what it is, but like it's just kids, man, and I just do my best to be humble, to be socially aware, but also not but to keep the my Christ filter on, as much as I can, as best I can, even though I don't do it perfectly. But I mean, I think you do the same, and I mean, because clearly, if you weren't, like, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think God works, man.
Yeah, He does.
Like He works. He does His thing, and it may not look the way we want it to look sometimes, but ultimately, at the end, it looks better than we could have thought.
Yeah.
For ourselves, and even though we're here, like, we won't remain here. Like, there's always growth, and development and things like that. So, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And maybe, with the growth and development, maybe God can send some of that to Las Vegas. And my Raiders, can get their act together and play some defense and not go in a halftime up 17 and lose by 3. Like,
Your highlight of the year was the stiff arm heard around the world.
Oh man!
and the Hail Moron, it's now being dubbed by folks. That was the highlight of the year.
We got something.
You can be horrible, but if you do that to Bill Belichick and the Patriots,
like, hey,
you gotta be happy. You gotta sing well.
We at least got this. We at least have this. Hey, like, God gave us. He threw us a bone there. maybe that was the turn that we needed.
Yes.
the stiff arm. The rest of the season was a disaster, but that was a highlight. That's the only highlight we need. You know.
To quickly wrap this up, we really spent
that probably makes me feel
a whole
better.
lot of time. Yeah,
I think that's still just last thing. I think the stiff arm was probably a recompense for the tuck rule.
I think the touchdown with was his toes down with number 84. I think that was the here you go Raiders, here's your bone for the tuck rule. I think that touchdown play where it's close.
It has to be the tuck rule because the tuck rule happened against the Patriots.
Yeah.
Has to be. That's funny.
All right, to close out this long podcast episode, the longest ever by a long shot. Super Bowl picks. Who are you picking and why? And in a quick summary.
Oh man. Philly's they're playing some great football. They are.
Yeah.
But Kansas City has a lot. They have a lot on the line because I think Andy Reid's got a lot on the line. He does. I think Kansas City, they made it through their playoff game with Mahomes on one leg. I think Kansas City is gonna probably pull the game out. Maybe I'm gonna say the last maybe quarter and a half, but they got to get Kelsey going. They gotta really target the Philly secondary, and they got to run the ball. Like they may not. I'm not saying you need to run for 230 yards, but
have a presence.
You got to keep them honest. Even if your back is only gonna give you 75 yards on 30 carries or whatever it is. You gotta have a running game. You gotta make sure that Mahomes can do his thing, that the ankle is feeling good.
Yeah.
You got to have those things, but if they can do that and they can negate that. I mean, they have to run the ball so you can negate that pass rush. So if they do that, I think Kansas City will pull it up. I think it's going to be close for the first 2.5 quarters, and then you'll see some separation probably midway through the third.
To keep a long story short, if the Eagles can get after Patrick Mahomes the way the Bucs did, it's going to be a blowout. But again, long story short, you got those monster receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
You got the dual threat quarterback. You got a monster defense with 2 all-pro corners. So, and you got still Fletcher Cox still in the middle all these years later, which Tennessee almost traded for him for Chip Kelly to draft Marcus Mariota all those years ago. So, wouldn't that have been revisionist history? So, I think Eagles are going to pull this off. I really do. I really do. Yeah. And if you're the Eagles though. How soon does this ship blow up and then you win and then you go to another Super Bowl with a different coach and a different quarterback? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that would just be so odd if that happened again. Yeah. But, they drafted Jalen Hurts, not expecting him to be who he is today.
Right.
So they drafted him to be like the Taysom Hill of the Eagles, essentially. That was the mindset behind it. And they're reaping the benefits of Doug Peterson's pick. So
yeah.
So I think the Eagles are going to win.
Someone you plant the seed, but somebody else waters it.
Yep. So I honestly think the Chiefs are going to get out early. They're actually going to score like 10 or 13 points to nothing, and then that's when the Eagles go on a tear. They'll tie the game.
Fair enough.
And then the Chiefs will probably score a field goal. It'll be like 17, 13, or 14, and then either halftime or just before halftime, it's going to be Eagles pouring on. And And then it might be a shootout with Patrick Mahomes, but again, like I said, if that pass rush can get to him, then it's going to negate everything. Yeah. We saw that years ago with Tampa Bay. So we're going to wrap the episode there, and we got a whole ton of stuff today. But yeah, great having you on, and hopefully have you on the next time for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
bet.
All right, so this is Joshua Mickle and Marcus Rowe signing off.